That sounds great. I think any kind of expansion in the future is definitely going to be great for City Tutors moving forward. And I guess that also brings me to wonder, do either of you have any examples that come to mind about a successful mentee, tutor, or partner site in the program that could really inspire our listeners?
I got two that I think are most impactful. Well, the first one being actually one of the data operations team members. Well, actually, it's two of them now, but they live in like California and Oregon. One of them recently graduated with a computer science major. The other one is actually still in college, starting off at a community college, but I think he's going to UC Berkeley. I think, don't quote me on that, but I think he's pursuing like a business administration type of major. But none of them came from like a position of power in that, they had like a fully developed system that they could give us. Basically, they just volunteered with us because they had an interest. One had an interest in just being able to help the community. The other one had an interest in just working with data. And they wanted to develop something that could sort of help us to manage all of that. And none of them really had like these skills with like coding, like you'd say JavaScript or Python to me. I'm like, is that another language that I'm supposed to be knowing? Which it basically is. But they were willing to learn it like from scratch. Like they didn't take any classes. They were just like, all right, let's watch a YouTube video on it, and then we'll open up a Google Sheet and we'll see what floats. And so just the work that they've done has allowed us to sort of like amplify our reach to be able to support the entire New York City community. So I sort of find them as like, volunteers with us to be the most inspiring. In terms of the mentee, well, we have mentees all throughout the City Tutors program, and Garri can speak more about an individual one, but in terms of one student who I've got a tutor working with, okay, the tutor's actually a NASA scientist, because so she volunteered with us because she wanted to help like specifically communities who were under resourced, who didn't have a lot of exposure to things like just basic science or having resources that can help them to understand it. And so she offered to volunteer, and I think we put her with the Children's Aid at their site in Millbank. And like the student that she's got is like a rock star in terms of pre-calculus. And he's thinking of like, from what I'm hearing, I got to meet this kid because he sounds amazing, but he's thinking of like pursuing like careers in journalism. And, when when mentors are comfortable with students, they're willing to introduce them to like their network. Not always a guarantee, but it's pretty inspiring to see that they can sort of like build this relationship and then they can trust each other. And that this student who, I mean, now they're getting this exposure to writing, to science. I mean, I wish I had a NASA scientist when I was a student in high school, but just being able to give like people who have these experiences, who can not only help students to understand these subjects that they're learning, but to put them into the context of the real world, I think is another, like, that's something that kind of makes me smile when I think about it.
No, that's really great. I mean, I guess so we've talked a bit about the role of city tutors and how the nonprofit benefits underserved communities as well. Do you both have any parting advice for students listening who are interested in getting involved in education?
Yeah, as an instructor, I'll speak as someone who fell into education, but the even though I fell into education, what has sustained me through the years, and he's mentioned 150, I think it's like 160 classes at this point, over 6,000 hours.
I shortballed it. I said 100.
but the reason that I've been wanting to keep going, because I think what you leave after the third year, or and if you stay, if you get past that third year, you stay. What has driven me is the interest in learning, the interest in why people learn and how they do it. Like if you start from the position of the curriculum, or you start from the position of the your own interests, that it's more like, let me show you how much I know, um, that's where like your time is going to be short and unfulfilling in education. You're going to you kind of completely forget what this whole field is about. You need to be thinking about that individual experience, and I think the most important thing is the curiosity of an individual's learning experience, wanting to know more about it, wanting to understand when it's not working. Actually, it's it's easy to enjoy it when everything is going right in the classroom, but when students are not getting it, instead of being frustrated, wanting to be like, well, why? And like, and actually staying there, taking a deeper dive, and finding that to be your comfort zone is picking away at what exactly is this person not understanding. Why? How does it connect to the curriculum that I've built, to broader like objectives? How do I meet them where they are? How do I bring out outside resources into the space in order to create differentiated instruction, create scaffolds that can support the student? Like that needs to be in kind of something that you just swim in the waters of that and enjoy it. Um, and if you do that, then there is no frustration. It just is opportunity, always opportunity.
Well, in my experience, the best way to learn something is to just, do it. So in terms of getting into education, well, tutoring is actually an interesting way of getting into education, I feel, except it's a little less of, designing lesson plans and administering them. And it's a lot more like getting to know the student. And within your own experience, being able to help them to develop the skills without actually doing it for them. It's kind of like going to the gym, right? I hate the gym analogies because I only started going like a little before the pandemic. And then the gym trainer was like, all right, Michael, let's try the 40-pound weights. And, I tried to do the 40-pound weights, but, my arms are like twiggy and weak. So I was like, so it starts with like, just starting at a smaller amount and then scaffolding up from there. I wasn't the best writing tutor when I started with City Tutors. And I can admit that. And Gary knows because I visited him like once every Monday or once every Friday. I forgot what the ratio was, but it was once a week, just trying to get advice on what it took to be a better tutor and then actually working with a student on writing. And, whether you want to, we are also taking volunteers if anybody wanted to be a volunteer with us, but whether it's with us or another organization like New York Cares, or even with like their local school, like at NYU, or if they're a CUNY student with one of their CUNY schools, like to get into education, it's sort of like what's most valuable is the experience, just trying to help somebody to learn something. And there will be opportunities for you to grow beyond that role. Like when I talked about adult education, some of the instructors liked the tutors so much that they let our tutors take the lead on classes sometimes. And they were able to develop that as a skill, as an experience. But whether it's education or maybe it's even something else like computer science or finance, like just volunteering and doing something within that field, being able to find like the internship that will help you to develop the skills that you want. And if they don't even know where to start with that, our mentorship program also has working professionals with all these different backgrounds. And it's sort of like cafeteria mentoring. Like you can sort of pick and choose which person with what experience in a certain field do I want to know a little bit more about. And I can ask them questions to see, is this something I really want to be doing? So if they're interested in education, they can also sign up with our mentorship program, and we can look for educational professionals who can give them some advice on how to get into the field.
Definitely. We want to thank you both again for taking time out of your day to speak with us and share your insights to the empowered community. If you're interested in participating in the program and potentially even becoming a tutor or joining the mentorship program, check out the City Tutors website at thecitytutors.com. thecitytutors.org. And to our audience, thank you so much for watching this episode. That's it for today.